let's talk about how we can keep change going and how do we make change sustainable and not just start the change initiative or pay lip service to it. And I'm going to quickly tee up 3 quotes from 3 very different perspectives. First one, Peter Drucker, talking about culture, which is the biggest make or break factor in the mix. He had a quote that says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Net, you can have the best strategy in the world. If the culture doesn't embrace it, you will fail miserably. Second, Machiavelli. He had a famous quote. "There's nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. Because the innovator has for enemies all those who have done well under the old conditions, and only lukewarm defenders in those who may do well under the new." It sees people do not readily believe things until they've seen them working for a long period of time. And so it's this whole notion of resistance that you have to be prepared for when you take on these change initiatives. And then finally, maybe somewhat unorthodox, but another philosopher. So Mike Tyson, for those you don't know, was a very intimidating boxer in his heyday in the 90s, and he was about to fight a gentleman when he was invincible at the time. And the gentleman was being interviewed and said he was going to change his whole process. Instead of being a righty, he's going to go southpaw, he's going to do all these things differently. And the interviewer gave the mic to Mike Tyson and said, "What's your response to what your opponent just said?" And Mike Tyson's response was, "Everyone has a plan until they get hit." And when they get hit, they start resorting back to the things that are comfortable to them. And guess what? You're going to get hit. And that's why McKinsey has a study that says, a study from global CEOs and executives that said only 30% of these change initiatives are successful. And what happens is a lot of times when you're changing, you lose your focus on execution. And also this notion of when things get stressful, reverting back to your past. I call it muscle memory. Organizations go back to their muscle memory, the things that they were comfortable in doing. So you have to be on the lookout for that. And you have to make sure you determine your strategic imperatives and operational drivers that can get you to your goal. And then be clear and have your antenna up as to where these mindsets, these old mindsets, will undermine your efforts and prevent you from moving in new directions. And be certain everyone down through the layers is vigilant about keeping to the strategy and focusing on the operational drivers.